cosy. Everybody all right?
Yes.
Yes, it's okay.
Yes. Good. Well, that's a good start. So welcome everybody. Welcome to Alex, our new face. For your benefit, I'll tell you a little bit about what the group is about and what we do. So this is the Deal Mindfulness group, and we practice a bit of mindfulness. Have you got any understanding of what mindfulness is? Or?
It's like clearing your mind and just trying to focus on the present.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all about the present moment.
Yeah.
This moment in time right now. The past has gone. We can't do anything to change anything that's happened in the past, so there's not really any point in worrying about it or going over it or wishing things were different, because we can't. We can't change any of that. And then the future, well, that hasn't happened yet. Well, whilst we can make plans and we can, have some nice ideas about what we might like to happen in the future, ultimately, we just don't know what's going to happen. The only moment in time that actually exists, that we actually have to experience being alive, is this moment right now. And the practice of mindfulness is about awareness, and it's about bringing your awareness to this present moment, so that we can enjoy being alive. And one of the reasons why it's good for helping with particularly with things like stress and anxiety, is because sources of so much stress and anxiety come from the past and the future. Worrying about things that have happened in the past that we can't change, worrying about things that might happen in the future that we can't control and don't really know what's going to happen anyway. So there's no point in being stressed and anxious about those. And generally, the majority of people are actually really good at dealing with what is presented to them right now in this moment in time. Very few people actually do flee from it and run away from it. Generally speaking, most people, when they're presented with the situation, can handle it and tackle it. But they then go over and over it, and it causes lots of stress and anxiety afterwards. But if you can be in the moment, and if you can be present, it can be very calming. It can make you a much better communicator, because you respond to people in this moment rather than coming with any judgments about things that have happened in the past or the way that they have been in the past. It can certainly help you to discover, an inner peace and stillness, which is always there. There is always that inner peace and stillness, but because our minds have a tendency to just go race away and constantly churning away, we're not able necessarily to be able to find that inner peace and stillness. And through mindful practice, you're able to do that. And so what we do within the group is every week we have a topic, which is basically me coming up with something quite random and just talking about it and inviting everybody that's here to chip in with observations, questions, whatever, and just general chit-chat and discussion around it. And we practice a few exercises with the hope that people take those exercises away and practice them throughout the week, throughout their day-to-day lives. Whilst it's lovely for everybody to come together and practice a bit of mindfulness in this moment, I wouldn't like to think that this is the only opportunity and the only time throughout the week that people do stop and practice a bit of mindfulness. So I suppose if there's anything that I'm hoping to convey and reach out to people with, it's that ability to take the exercises that we do, practice them, and cultivate your own mindful practice. Right. So the topic for this week is faith, which I suppose is quite appropriate given that we meet in a church. But I'm not really going to talk about too much about religious faith. I don't know particularly whether there are people within the group that have any strong religious faith. If you do, great. If you don't, great. It doesn't matter. And also, what's nice about mindfulness is it doesn't matter if you have religious faith or you don't have religious faith. If you do, it doesn't matter what kind you have. You are still able to bring mindfulness into that, because mindfulness, whilst it's a spiritual practice, it doesn't have any religious angle to it particularly. There's no religious doctrines associated with it, particularly whilst it's born from Buddhist thinking and Buddhist practice and things like that. It's not a Buddhist activity per se. And I suppose also if you do have faith, if you do have religious faith, being mindful can actually help to develop that, and help to instill that, and help that to grow. But if you don't have religious faith, then equally mindfulness can bring stillness into your life, which others may find through their faith, through prayer. But we'll talk a bit about that in a moment. We'll start with an exercise. Do an exercise first. Shall we clap? We haven't clapped in a while. We'll do some clapping. And this is quite a fun little exercise. And this works in the group. It doesn't really work doing it on your own. If you're on your own,
Quite loopy those.
It could be a mindful exercise to practice on your own, to develop your awareness. Try it. Actually, maybe that's your homework for this week. To practice solo. Well, you might get it wrong, and you can tell us about it. You can tell us how it's possible to get clapping wrong. Okay. Well, what we do with this is we clap, but you follow me. So when I clap, you clap, and the aim is that it doesn't sound like 9 people clapping randomly. It sounds like one clap, but it's about developing your awareness. So you're aware of this moment, and aware of me, and aware of everybody else, and it just brings you to this moment quite nicely. Okay, so hands at the ready, and when I clap, you clap. You know how it works. And I promise, I won't try and catch you out. As tempting as it always is. Not a bad start. It's all very forceful tonight. Everybody really goes on. I said I wanted to. I didn't do that deliberately. I'm sorry. I didn't do that deliberately. Carry on. Sorry. One more. Lovely. Well done. Yeah, no, that was really quite forceful. It was very intimate. Okay. Right. Faith. So, faith in terms of, with respect to mindfulness and vice versa. I'd started thinking about aspects of faith. I suppose it was. It stems from, because sometimes we come to the family service here at this church, and the other week they were talking about the Holy Spirit, because it was Pentecost, and the whole story around Pentecost is the coming of the Holy Spirit, and all the disciples suddenly starting to speak in tongues and all that kind of stuff. Fire enters the room, and. So one of the key messages from that was that they were talking about the fact that the Holy Spirit, and I'm not going to dwell too much on Christianity or any kind of faith like that, but the element of it is that the Holy Spirit, it's not so you can't see it, you can't hear it, you can't smell it. It's not something that is discernible using your senses, which is, as most of you will know, when we do the exercise where we engage our senses, it's our senses that tell us what's going on in the world, what's happening around us, where we are in space and time. But aspects of religious faith in that sense, so things like the Holy Spirit and God, or if you have other religious beliefs, other gods, it's not something that you can sense. You don't see it, you don't hear it. I suppose some people will profess to have, seen God or heard God, but generally speaking, it's not something that you are aware of via the senses. There's a key aspect of it is the fact that you have faith. You believe that it is there. If you believe in God, you have faith in God, then you just have faith that it is there for you to protect you or do whatever it is that your faith relates to. So you're kind of putting your faith into something that, whilst you may believe it exists, don't see. And there's other kind of faith we can have. We can have faith in those around us. I have faith in you that you will hopefully turn up on a Wednesday and not leave me on my own with Nick. but we have faith in those around us, don't we? We have faith in our friends, faith in our family, and I suppose they have faith in us that they will love you and support you and care for you and do all the things that you would hope that they would do for you. So there's that kind of faith. But from in terms of mindfulness, I suppose the question that I was led round to thinking about was, can you have faith in mindfulness? Can mindfulness give you faith in something? And at first I started thinking about that whole principle of, from a religious aspect, people have faith in something that they can't necessarily see, can't hear, touch. Whereas with mindfulness, the present moment is absolutely something that you can be aware of. Unlike God and whatever your belief in God may be, this moment in time, right now, you can't dispute it. You can't question its existence because it's here. you are slap bang in the middle of it. You are experiencing it moment by moment. The present moment, you are experiencing it, and that's unquestionable. So in terms of whether you can have faith in the present moment, then absolutely you should have absolute and unquestionable faith in this moment in time right now, because it's indisputable, it is there, absolutely in front of you. Now what, I suppose that leads me on to think about what can you then get from that. Because if you think about religious faith, people get great comfort from faith in God, knowing that God is there to protect them, guide them, or do whatever it is that they believe will happen. Can the same be said from mindfulness? Does it give you comfort? Does it give you direction? I suppose in terms of that idea of it giving you direction, you could perhaps say, well, no, it doesn't. because a part of mindfulness is accepting what the present moment offers you, whether you are drawn to label it as being good or bad. You know, what's happening now, is it enjoyable or is it a painful experience? Do you get direction from that? Possibly not. You know, I've talked before about being on a journey. You know, and actually, if we are always permanently in the present moment, we could argue that there is no journey. We're not travelling anywhere because we're here now. We're always here now. There is no journey. It's just about this moment. You know, it doesn't matter where we've been, and it doesn't matter where we're going. There's only this moment. So in that sense, there is no direction. But can it, in terms of the other side of it, the comfort, the security, the peace that people can obtain through having faith and belief in an entity that they can't see, touch, or witness firsthand. Can you gain that from mindfulness? Well, personally, I would absolutely believe that to be the case. Absolutely. When we've done mindful exercises in past weeks, and we've encountered that moment of stillness, and we will in a moment when we do some breathing, and you become aware of that stillness, and you just become awareness. You know, the real you, the pure essence of your living being that is just awareness. You know, there's incredible still. I certainly feel it. I don't know about, I would hope that all of you have, on occasion, had a glimpse of that and had an experience of that, but the stillness can be absolutely profound, and the comfort that you can get from just experiencing a moment of stillness is quite incredible.
And the difference is as well is the faith in the other sense, you're putting it with something outside of you. With mindfulness, it's very much you, the faith is in yourself. Definitely, to an extent, because your experience of the present moment is your experience. Yours, exactly. Yeah.
You know, this moment in time, I'm experiencing it, but that's my experience. You know, the way that you're experiencing the present moment is your own experience of it. It's your own awareness that's being aware of it. And so, yeah, you are very much in the centre of it. And so, yes, any faith that is distilled from that is very much a faith in yourself. And a faith in yourself above and beyond ego and all those other things, which can be quite damaging. Because that was something that you've reminded me of, something that I'd thought before and meant to say, which is often the case because I don't write anything down. I just hope that I'll remember it. And so it was that very idea of having faith in yourself. Whilst it's important to have faith in others, in our friends, in our family, it's important to have faith in yourself. And as much as that may be related to self-confidence and having a positive impression of yourself, there can be a tendency for that to be quite ego-led. You know, I'm confident, I have a firm belief in my own abilities and a concrete belief in my ability to be successful and to be happy. A lot of that can be driven by ego. But through mindfulness, through being just purely aware of your experience of this moment in time, you can develop that belief in yourself.
Which is what I think gives you the peace.
It goes hand in hand, definitely, because it's it's a kind of confidence, but it's almost beyond that, isn't it? It's kind of above that. It's that stillness.
Feels that way.
Yeah, well, yeah, it does. It's very difficult to put it into words. I'm sure there are other people that are far better at it than I am. Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's do another exercise, and maybe something else will come to mind on the topic whilst we practice. Okay, as we were talking about breathing and finding that moment of peace through the breath. Breath's critical. Just for you, Alex. Your breath happens absolutely in this moment in time. You can't breathe in the past. You can't breathe in the future. You can only breathe right now, in this moment. And your breath is obviously, absolutely connected to being alive. If you're not breathing, you're not living. So by becoming aware of your breath, and nothing else, just being aware of your breath, it does two things. One, it instantly transports you to the present moment. So you're bang, right there, in the moment, aware of something that's happening in this moment. And also, it connects you with your inner life, the living being that is you. I don't know whether it's inside of you or around you or wherever it exists. I don't know. I'm not God. I didn't decide these things. I don't know how it works. So yeah, being aware of the breath certainly has those two very strong functions, and others as well. We talked about that stillness, that clarity of mind that comes by not thinking. Because sometimes it's nice to just not think. I mean, in fact, I was given a book. I've only just started reading it, because I'd only just finished the one I was reading before. And it's called Funk. And it's very, I'm assuming, I'm stuttering a bit tonight. Has anybody knows that? I'm centre. I am assuming, from what I've read so far, that it is very much a book about mindfulness, because whilst I've only got past the preface and the foreword and I'm into chapter 1, it's talking a lot about how important it is not to think sometimes. How there is a tendency for us as human beings to be slaves to our own mind. Which again is something that we've talked about many times over the course of the weeks. The fact that the brain has this tendency to generate thought, to generate ideas, to generate thinking, which, whilst thinking is a fantastic thing to do, if we didn't have any capacity to think, we'd probably be in trouble. But it can also be quite damaging, because it can be very wearing, it can be very negative, and when it's incessant, you don't get that stillness. So this book is about being able to turn off the thinking, to be able to use thinking when it's appropriate, when you need to be able to think, and then at other times, when you don't need to be able to think, to just be. Which is one of the fundamental aspects to mindfulness and mindful practice, not being a slave to our own mind and thinking. So anyway, on with the breathing. Okay, so you may close your eyes if you wish, you don't have to. You can breathe with your eyes open, it's not like sneezing. And just begin by being aware of the breath of the nostrils. Just breathe in and out, and aware of the air entering and leaving the body. And just follow the movement, in and out. And then shift the awareness back slightly so that you can actually be aware of the breath at the back of the throat. And aware of the air moving up and down in the neck, behind the soft palate. Now shift the awareness down a little further to the top of the chest. And here you can become aware of the rise and fall as your chest expands and contracts as you breathe in and breathe out. Now follow the breath all the way down to the bottom of your lungs. And just follow the movement as it happens, in and out. And if your mind wanders whilst you're following your breath, that's fine, it doesn't matter, don't worry about it. Just be aware that your mind has wandered and just bring the awareness back to your breath. Just following the in-breath and the out-breath. As you breathe out, just invite the bowl to sound. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes. So I did have a thought. I shouldn't have done. Because I should have. Where am I breathing? But something that came to me whilst I was breathing was, I suppose a flip side to what we were just talking about in terms of that very personal, individual aspect to mindfulness, in that it's yourself which is experiencing the present moment. And I guess it's something that in a way resonates with religious belief, and that's the connectedness. You know, if you do have Christian belief in God, then you will believe that God exists. God is ubiquitous and omnipotent, and He is everywhere. And He resides within every living being and created everything, and so connects everything. But the same can be said, in terms of mindful practice, the present moment. That connects everything. All life, all matter, everything that exists is contained within the present moment. This moment in time, right now, is the moment that contains everything. So that connects everything. All life, all energy, all matter, it's all connected via the present moment. And our breath also is something that, whilst it is absolutely fundamental to our own aliveness, our own being, it also connects us. Certainly as human beings, we're all breathing. It's quite likely that the air that I am breathing has been in and out of one of you, somebody else. The oxygen that I'm breathing in has come from a plant or a tree somewhere, and in a way that connects me with that. There was what was it I was reading? It was some stupid list off Facebook. Damn Facebook, when I should be doing something else, and it presents you with that clickbait stuff. The 100 things that you didn't know, 20 stupid facts. But there was one, and there was this list of stupid facts. What was it? One of them was the fact that immediately after you were born, for a very short period of time, you were the youngest person on the planet. Mm-hmm. In amongst all those billions of people. Just for a split, you were the youngest. Claim to fame. But no, it was talking about water, and that if there are, however many molecules of water within a glass, there are however many molecules in a glass of water, and the chances that if you were to drink a glass of water, the chances that you swallow a molecule of water that at one time had passed through a dinosaur is about 100%. Mm-hmm. So in that respect, you drink a glass of water, even if you don't drink water, if all you drink is tea or Coca-Cola, there's other fizzy drinks are available for the benefit of the tea.
There's only a certain amount of water in the world.
There's only a certain amount of water. Exactly. So all of this other, whilst our breath connects us, and there's probably molecules that have been in and out of various other living organisms, the same is true of water. The water that we drink has been in and out of all these other organisms, and not just necessarily, have passed through their digestive system. We are, 80% water, do we say? Mm-hmm. That water comes from somewhere and goes somewhere. So, when you drink, as horrible as it might sound, when you drink a glass of water, the chances are that you're, ingesting your ancestors.
Oh no, I should never be able to look at it that way.
I'm sure they weren't all that bad. I'm sure there's
what an idea.
That's it. Yeah, all energy can't be destroyed. Yeah. You can't destroy energy. It just passes from one form to another, whether heat turns to light, turns to kinetic energy, whatever. It all just passes from one thing to another through various states, and so the same is true of energy, of matter, of all of that kind of stuff. And so that connects all of us. Connects all of us, connects us to everything. It connects us to our ancestors, connects with the future generations. And maybe as unpleasant a thought as it is, it also, the practice of mindfulness cultivates that. And we can get comfort from that. We can take some comfort from knowing that we're not alone. We're not isolated. Whilst my experience of this present moment is my experience, and nobody else can have that experience of the present moment, by being aware of the present moment, and being mindful, and aware of my breath, aware of the water that I drink when I drink it, aware of the food that I eat when I eat it, aware of all of the different things, connects me with all other living beings, all the energy, matter, blah, 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 and so I'm not alone. I am as integral a part of that system as anything or body else. I am no more or less important than anything else. And that can be incredibly comforting. It's quite easy for us to think that we are, as human beings, to think that we are superior. I have more right to be alive than the ant or the fly that's busy headbutting the window. But through cultivating awareness, you can develop a strong sense of the fact that no, all of it is just as valid, and just as relevant, and just as authentic. And I am no better, no worse. And it also can help to put all of those stupid concerns and pressures and all the rest of it into context. We had a case, somebody that I'm aware of who, they're having a very bad time of things at the moment, and they're reacting to it really badly, taking it out on lots of other people and getting really stressed at work and losing sight of the fact that it's just a job. It's just a job. It's what you do to get some money to buy some bread and that from the shop and pay the bills. At the end of the day, that isn't life and death. That isn't being alive. Your being isn't just about going to work, being stressed out about being at work. It's not. So all of that other stuff that I've talked about that can come from mindfulness can help you to put some perspective and some context onto all of those things and begin to be aware of the fact that, and I'm as guilty of it as the next person. I sit here and pretend to be some great practitioner. I'm just doing my best, the same as everybody else in that sense, and I'm just as guilty of that, of striving to have more, sometimes thinking, why can't I have a nice German car like that fella instead of the crappy French thing that I'm driving? and then I'll have a mindful moment, and I'll think, well, that, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, really, that doesn't define me. Just because I drive a crappy French car doesn't make me any more or less of a being than I am. So sometimes it pays to be aware of that. That's it. You see, that's why I chose my city. It's a mindful car. It's a car that promotes mindfulness, as clunky and battered as it is. Okay.
Does
anyway.
it save you walking in the rain?
It does.
That's all you've got to worry about.
It gets the kids from there to there.
Absolutely.
In just about in one piece.
Absolutely.
They might, if they don't get there in one piece, it's their own fault for taking chunks out of each other on the back seat. Okay, right. How are we doing? Right. finish off with another exercise. So we'll engage the senses. Normally we start with this one, but we've kind of done things a different way around. Not that it matters. Doesn't matter. It is what it is. In this moment, we're going to do a different exercise. So we'll engage the senses. And we'll start by just having a look around and seeing what we can see. Using our eyes. Allowing light energy that has travelled millions and billions of light years to enter my eyes right now, connecting me with all the other, everything out there. But we don't need to think about that. And when you've had a look around, you can close your eyes and just turn your awareness to the weight of your body sat on the seat. Aware of your head and your shoulders. Aware of your bottom pressing down into the seat. Aware of your feet in contact with the floor. And then take a breath through the nose and be aware of what you can smell. You're not even actually not aware of what you can smell, just aware of smell. Aware that you can smell. And then aware of the taste that is in your mouth at this moment in time. And then you can begin to listen. And as you listen to sound as it happens, moment by moment, if your mind wanders, it doesn't matter. Bring the awareness back to listening. And now bring your awareness back to your breath. And this time aware of the three elements to the breath. You breathe in, you breathe out, and then there is a pause. And just follow each of those stages as it happens. Breathing in, breathing out, and then that pause. I'd like you to just really become acutely aware of the fact that in that pause between breaths, everything is still. That is when there is that moment of peace and stillness, in the pause between breaths. It doesn't matter that it only lasts a short amount of time, because it comes around again and again and again, moment after moment. That pause, that stillness, always coming back. And in that pause between breaths, when everything is still, when you connect with that moment of peace, and the mind is still, in that pause, you are just being alive, nothing more than that, just being alive. And that simple truth is the most precious, important thing to be aware of. That in the pause between breaths, when everything is still, you're just being alive. There's nothing to do, nothing to think, just pure awareness. And in that pause, you're absolutely fine. So for the next few moments, be aware of breathing in, aware of breathing out, and then aware of the pause, aware of that stillness, aware of just being in the pause. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Have a good week. Have faith in yourself. Have faith in the present moment. And most importantly, have faith in that pause between breaths. Because that's where the magic happens. Thank you.
Thank you very much.